I never thought a single day could change everything. One morning I woke up, and Sarah was gone, and suddenly the world felt empty in ways I didn't even know were possible. My name is Elizabeth. I was 40 when she died, and I've spent the years since trying to understand how losing her changed the way I see life. Sarah had been my closest companion for nearly 20 years, not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the quiet, steady rhythm of life we shared. Morning coffee together, soft laughter in the kitchen, little looks that said more than words ever could. She had a way of noticing things I didn't, pointing out the tiny details of life, the smell of rain on the window, the way the sunlight fell on our living room floor. I thought love meant forever, that some people would never leave, and I believed that the ordinary days we shared would last a lifetime. I was wrong. Her illness came slowly, almost silently. It wasn't something you could point to at first, just small changes. She would forget a word, tire a little faster, brush off the medicine she was supposed to take. She laughed through the doctor visits, shrugged when I worried, and I told myself we'd be fine. I didn't let myself imagine a life without her. But one morning, she didn't wake up. I remember the sunlight coming through the window, the same golden light that had warmed us countless times before, now falling on a house that felt too quiet, too still. In the weeks that followed, I noticed everything I had taken for granted. The sound of the kettle boiling, the pages of a book turning, the faint hum of the refrigerator. Everything reminded me she was gone. I found myself speaking her name aloud, almost hoping that saying it would make her come back. Every corner of our home held a memory, every shadow seemed to carry her presence and absence at the same time. I would pick up one of her scarves or a cup she left on the table and feel a pang of longing that was almost physical. I remember going through our photo albums, sitting for hours and looking at old pictures of us together. There we were at the park, laughing in the rain. There we were at the kitchen table, her hair falling into her eyes as she told me a story. There we were holding hands on a summer evening, the kind of picture that made it feel like nothing could ever go wrong. And yet, here I was, holding these physical reminders of a life that was no longer ours to live together. The edges of the photos were curled, the colors faded, the corners slightly torn, and somehow that made them feel more real, more precious. But in that emptiness, something unexpected began to happen. I started noticing the small things in life, the ones I had ignored while she was alive, the color of the sky at sunset, the way a bird paused on the railing, the quiet rhythm of my own heartbeat. These little moments became anchors, tiny sparks of life reminding me that even after losing someone, the world still has beauty. I began to understand that grief is not just sadness. It is a way of seeing, a way of feeling more deeply, noticing things that we often overlook when life feels ordinary. I thought I would never laugh again, but slowly, in the quietest moments, I found pieces of joy returning. The smell of fresh bread in the morning, the sound of children playing in the park, a neighbor smiling as I walked by, things that used to seem mundane now felt like small miracles. I began writing down memories of Sarah, not to hold on to the pain, but to honor the love we had shared. I remembered the way she hummed while cooking, the sound of her shoes on the hardwood floor, the way she always knew when to give me a look that said, "I understand." And I began to understand something important. Losing Sarah didn't just take away a part of me, it also taught me how to hold life more carefully, how to notice love in small, ordinary ways. I learned to say the words I had left unsaid, to cherish the people around me, and to feel deeply without fear. Even pain can become a kind of teacher if you let it. It is painful, yes, but it teaches clarity. It teaches you what matters, and it strips away the things that don't. Now, when I sit in the garden we planted together, I can feel her there. Not in presence, but in memory, in the way my heart remembers what it is to truly love someone. Losing Sarah changed everything, but it also opened my eyes to the beauty, the fragility, and the wonder that surrounds us every day. I talk to her sometimes, silently in my mind, and it feels like she is listening. I tell her about my days, my small victories, my quiet worries, and in some way it makes me feel less alone. I tell you this because maybe you've lost someone too, or maybe you fear it. And if you listen closely, you'll see what I learned. Love doesn't end when they leave. It lives in the way we look at the world, the way we touch others, the way we keep moving forward. And sometimes it's in that forward motion, in that quiet noticing, that we find life again. Even now, I often pause at photographs, lingering on her smile or the way her hand fits perfectly in mine. I can feel a spark of that love again in the simplest things: the smell of coffee, the sound of rain, a moment of quiet in the garden. Life moves on, yes, but love lingers, not as a shadow, but as a light guiding you through even the quietest, loneliest days. And I wonder, as I tell you this story, how many of us carry these invisible threads of love, loss, and memory without ever noticing. I hope, if nothing else, that my story reminds you to see the small, ordinary miracles around you, to hold your people close, and to feel deeply, even when it hurts. Because that is what it means to live fully, to love fully, and to carry someone in your heart, long after they are gone.